Today we're going to be talking about how to graph lines from point-slope form. So first off, let's talk about the formula. Point-slope form is called that because it includes one point on the line and also the slope of the line. And so the point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, now we are going to fill in numbers for y1, m, and x1. Okay, all of those are going to have numbers filled into them, but the first y and the first x, those are going to stay as y and x. If you kind of glance over here at this example, you can see that the y and the x are still there. We're not going to fill in any numbers for that. Slope, just like always, is represented by an m. Okay, x1, y1 represents the point on the graph. Right? Note the formula has a minus, okay? So if you see something that is plugged in there as a positive, it means that a negative number was substituted into the formula. Okay? Now, in order to graph the equation, the first thing that we have to do is we need to label the coordinate from the equation and then plot it, okay? So that means you have to find out what is your x1 comma y1 in order to put that on the graph. And then you're just going to continue the line using the slope, which we will count as the rise over run. Okay, don't forget positive equations either go up to the right or down to the left. And in contrast to that, negative equations are going to go down to the right or up to the left. Just as a simple reminder. Okay, so let's look at some of our examples. The first one we have y minus 2 equals 3 times x minus 4. Okay, so the equation is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, right? So this 2 is going to be my y value. My y1 equals 2. My m is going to be the 3. And this 2 is going to be my x value, okay? Don't forget the formula itself has these minuses in it. So this minus being brought down here doesn't mean that that number is negative. It means that it's just coming straight from the formula, okay? So the point is going to be x comma y. So my x is 2. So I will go ahead and put 2 as my x value, comma. The y value is also 2. So I'm going to start my graph at 2, comma 2. Which is right here. And then my slope is 3, so I know that's going to be 3 over 1. So I'm going to be able to continue my line using that slope. Up 3 over 1, down 3 to the left, down to the left, okay? I have an equal sign here, so I can, I can just go ahead and connect all these dots. I don't have to worry about any shading or anything like that, okay? In the next example, let's go ahead and write the equation again just so that we can start to get used to it. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so we are trying to identify our y1, our m, and our x1, right? So here, this is what I'm talking about the plus, right? The formula has a minus, but this has a plus. And that means that they plugged a negative 3 into the formula. Okay, it's important that you realize that minus negative 3, right? So 5 minus negative 3, that is the same thing as 5 plus 3. Okay, so minus and negative is the same thing as plus, and you will see that simplified pretty often. So where we have this plus, that's because they inputted a negative 3 into the formula. So they would have said, okay, y minus negative 3 equals, and they just simplified those two to a plus, right? The slope is going to be 1/2. and the x1 is going to be positive 4, right? I had a negative, I still have a negative, so it's a positive 4. My point is x comma y, so 4 comma negative 3, and then my slope is going to be 1 over 2, right? So I'm going to put that first point on the graph here, right, for negative 3, so right for down 3, and then I can continue my slope of 1/2, right? So 1 over 2 kind of runs off the graph a little bit, but it would be a little bit over here, and then negative, or down 1 to the left 2, down 1 left 2, just like this, right? As long as I have an equal sign, I don't have to worry about shading or any type of dashes or anything like that. In the next example, I'm just going to keep on writing my equation since we're not necessarily familiar with it yet. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And again, we're looking for our y1, our m, and our x1. Okay, so we can see this is a minus, this is a minus, so it's going to be a positive 4. My slope is going to be negative 2/3. And then my x1, I do have a plus, so that means that they substituted that minus negative 1. So my x value is going to be negative 1. Okay, that puts my point at negative 1/4 and my slope at negative 2/3. Okay, so I'm going to put my y-intercept on the graph first, which is, or excuse me, not my y-intercept, but just my regular point. So negative 1/4. And then for my slope, I'm going to go down and to the right 3, down to the right 3. And again, if I have an equal sign, I don't have to worry about any dashes or shading. Okay, and my last example, just go ahead and write our formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we're looking for our y1, our m, and our x1. This is supposed to be a minus in the formula, and it's a plus. So that means they substituted that minus a negative 1. So my y value is negative 1. My slope just has a negative out here. Anytime you see just a negative, that's the same thing as negative 1 as a slope. Sorry. Negative 1. And then I have my minus there, so that's just a positive 3. So my point is 3, negative 1, and my slope is negative 1. So I'll go ahead and put that on my graph, 3, negative 1. And then I'll continue my slope of negative 1, so down 1 to the right throughout the graph. And I think that's going to be it for graphing in point slope form.